সোনায় সোহাগা নিঃসন্দেহে। তো ভূমিকা বেশি কথা বাড়াবো না, যারা নতুন জয়েন করবেন তারা অবশ্যই মাইক গুলোকে এবং ভিডিও গুলোকে মিউট করে রাখবেন। এবং আপনি যদি পরবর্তীতে জয়েন করতে আপনার কোনো অসুবিধা হয়, সরাসরি আমাদের বাংলাদেশ শ্রমিক পরিষদের যে ফেসবুক পেজটি আছে সেখানে জয়েন করে আপনি আলোচনাটি শুনতে পাবেন। আমি স্যারকে আর কথা না বাড়িয়ে সরাসরি আজকের বিষয়ে আলোচনায় আমন্ত্রণ জানাচ্ছি। স্যার, আজকের আলোচনা হাইপারটেনশন এই বিষয়ের উপরে আপনার উপস্থাপনাটি কন্টিনিউ করবেন। ধন্যবাদ স্যার। সালাম।
Dear viewers, today we are going to discuss hypertension. In Bengali it is called Uccho Raktachap. It's a very important subject for all types of physicians. Without knowing hypertension, it's difficult to treat old people because many of them will have hypertension along with his other complaints. So we will try to learn hypertension at least to the level of our DHMS, because these belong to modern medicine. It has many intricate discussion, many tough discussion. We will try to avoid the discussion which some of you may not follow. So we will try to present in a simple form and so much which you need during your practice, not all about hypertension, because this will be a long discussion and maybe many intricate pathogenesis pathology you may not understand. So we will not go on that side. We will try to present as easily as possible. So first of all, we can see what is hypertension. Hypertension. So actual hypertension means, if I give you a okay, so hypertension is elevated level of blood pressure above standard level of blood pressure. There are set normal blood pressure. If you have more than this, not in one occasion, in several occasions of the day, then we can classify you as a hypertensive. But we must be very careful to take a person as hypertensive wrongly, because hypertension in modern medicine, in conventional medicine, they say once you have hypertension, you have no escape from this. You will have to take medicine throughout your life. But we don't say this exactly. We'll discuss afterwards. So don't take a person that you are hypertensive. Before taking him as hypertensive, you must take care. So we are coming to this. So first we see there are two types of blood pressure. One is systolic, one is diastolic. Systolic is when heart pumps out the blood outside it and it flows through the arteries and give pressure to the arterial wall. This is systolic pressure. Pressure during systole, pumping out of the blood. And diastolic blood pressure means while the heart relaxes and brings back all the blood which it forced out throughout the body. So while it is bringing back, this wall is already reduced, relaxed. So that time your pressure will be less. And this is called diastolic pressure. One pressure during systole, one pressure during diastole. By combining, we express as systolic pressure by diastolic pressure. Now, normal pressure is less than 130. Systolic. Diastolic less than 85. But we say optimal. It is more, what I say, it is more than uh, normal, more usual than normal. This is usually a little bit less. Systolic is less than 120. Diastolic is less than 80. If you have this level, then you have optimal blood pressure. It's a nice balanced blood pressure. But up to 130 over 85, okay, we say it is a normal. But if your systolic blood pressure go beyond 130 up to 140 and diastolic pressure from 85 to 89 or 90, then it is high normal. It's also normal, but it is high normal. Okay, up to this, you can accept that you don't need regular medication. This is called high normal, you see. Optimal is less than normal, high normal is little more than normal. So, always we try to keep our blood pressure here. But now, you see, if we want to keep the blood pressure here, we may not keep it. We may not be able to keep it here. Your blood pressure will go high for many reasons. Now, how far it can go? See, if you say hypertension, mild, moderate, and severe. Mild means grade 1, moderate, grade 2, severe, grade 3. If your blood pressure is more than 139, 139 is high normal. So if it is 142, say 160, your systolic blood pressure is high. You can say grade 1 hypertension. And at the same time, your diastolic should be from 90 to say about 100. If this is the level of the blood pressure, then you can say yes, you are hypertensive, but still you are in mild phase. But sure, if you don't take care and if you don't take any treatment, either homeopathy or allopathy or other medication, it means if you remain untreated, you may find that your blood pressure is going higher and higher. Then you find it becomes from 160 to about 180 systolic, and your diastolic is 100 to 110. It's quite high, and this is a little risky. If your blood pressure becomes 180 over 110, you see, though it is moderate, but it is risky. And if it goes beyond 180, say 240, 250, and diastolic more than 100, say 120, then sure you are in risk. You are in a risk of acute crisis and your organ damage. So we say we treat patient by symptoms. And you see, blood pressure is also a symptom. This is objective symptom. You cannot depend or rely only on the subjective symptom of the patient. So you say, okay, I'm feeling fine. I don't have any symptom. But if you find your his blood pressure 220 over 120, no, it's not fine. Many times the stroke occurs and the patient does not do anything. He is laughing and he is joking and he has stroke. So by seeming subjective happiness, you cannot say that he is not in danger. So the subjective symptom as well as if he says like today myself, I have severe headache. I have severe headache. I check my blood pressure in the morning. I find it was normal. In my chamber I measured it. Also normal. Now, the rest of the lecture I found it is here. It is little more than here. I normal. So so you will have to evaluate a patient of hypertension both by subjective symptoms and objective signs of the symptom. Similarly, you cannot say a patient is well while his diabetes is 20. It should be 7 only, but it has gone up to 20 per liter, in 20 millimole per liter. You cannot say, even if you say 95, you cannot say he is well. He may go to coma anytime. Okay, then we come here. This is called isolated systolic hypertension. I think many of our colleagues may not know this thing. Somebody says, I find, some people say, oh, I have no blood pressure. Why? Because my diastolic is good. It remains always below 90 or 85, something like that. What about systolic? No, systolic, okay, it has gone to 180, 190. No, he's fool. If he says something like this, he's a fool. He has got, oh, who's the guy disturbing us? Oh, please, my dear colleagues, take care. You keep your video and audio off. Please don't disturb us. It's a very important class. So there may be isolated systolic hypertension. A person has 180 blood pressure, systolic, diastolic 85, still he is hypertensive. So we have to think about this matter. Now let us proceed little bit. Let us see the little bit cardiovascular system of our body, because Dr. Anwar Patori, I think you expel this guy. If you can detect, just expel him. We are expecting that he is not off making his audio and video off. If he have mechanism, just expel him. So this is, and you see, this is anatomy of blood circulation. We see this is our heart. This is in the chest cavity. 2/3 is on the left side, 1/3 is on the right side. And from its left chamber, one big artery arises. This is called aorta. From here up to here, it is called aorta. But we name it in several way according to its position. So this one, because it is ascending, we say this is ascending aorta. Then this one, here you see there is a curve. That's why we say it is arch of aorta. Now from arch of aorta up to the division of this aorta, it is called descending aorta. Again, descending aorta is divided into two parts. Up to diaphragm in the chest, it is called descending thoracic aorta. And below diaphragm, up to bifurcation, this is called descending abdominal aorta. And you see, abdominal aorta, it divides into two. This is called common iliac artery. This is the right common iliac, this is left common iliac. It goes little bit down and again divides into two. This is called external iliac artery. This is called internal iliac artery. External iliac artery goes through the thigh and leg up to foot. A subclavian artery. In the thigh, it is called subclavian artery. And when it goes to the knee, it is called tibial artery. And tibial artery again two. One is called anterior tibial artery, one is called posterior tibial artery. Then anterior tibial artery ends as dorsalis pedis artery. And posterior tibial artery, it makes some arch and ramification in the sole of the foot. And this internal carotid artery, this internal one, this is external, this is internal. Internal one will supply all the organs in the pelvic cavity, like in case of female uterus, ovary, say rectum, urinary bladder, and everything like this. Now we come here. We can go to the next photo to be better. You see, we can go to the next one. No, this is better. Okay, you see, this is called arch of aorta. I told you, this curved portion is called arch of aorta. From arch of aorta, three branches arise. Three branches. On the right side, you see one common branch. This is called brachiocephalic artery. and it divides into two again. This is called subclavian artery, which goes to the upper limb and supplies the upper limb. This is subclavian artery. And this one is called common carotid artery. This will go to the base of the skull and again it will divide into two. This is called external carotid artery and internal carotid artery. The internal carotid artery will pass through the brain and it will supply the brain. External carotid artery will supply the outer side of the head and face. Okay, and you see in between there are two big branches from the abdominal aorta. This is called renal artery. Renal artery. One goes to each kidney, and it is said every minute 1/4 of the blood or the output of heart goes to the kidney. It means most of the blood of cardiac output goes to the kidney to, to sieve the blood into urine. Here. Now, if you see a little bit more, we can see the internal structure of heart. And just, I think many of you know this thing, but just to recapitulate a little bit before going to our subject. We know in heart there are four chambers. While we are student of intermediate IS, we used to dissect toad, man, frog, and this toad or frog had five chambers. But when we are admitted into medical college after passing IC, we found that human heart has four chambers. So two chambers below and two chambers above. Below these are called ventricle. This side, left side, this is called left ventricle. It is a chamber. It is a container of blood. Left ventricle, and on the right side this is called right ventricle. And in between you see there is a septum. There is a wall which divides both ventricle into left and right ventricle. Normally, it is there is no foramen, there is no pores in the wall. It is without any foramen. But sometimes by developmental anomaly, there is some small door or pores in the wall of the interventricular septum. This is called VSD, ventricular septal defect. And what will happen? You see, here the oxygenated blood here on the left side, and on the right side there is deoxygenated blood, carbon dioxide blood, and they have no chance of mixing inside the heart. No chance of mixing. It is in such a way it is distributed and planned by God. But if there is a pores, if there is an aperture in the wall of the interventricular septum, what will happen? So blood from the chamber which has higher pressure, this will go to the chamber of lower pressure. So left ventricle has always higher pressure than right ventricle. So you find this oxygenated blood will pass through and mix with the carbon dioxide blood in the right chamber. And there will be a problem. The patient will have cyanosis and he will have more pressure on the heart. There will be hypertrophy of the heart failure, and so on. Now, above we see there are two chambers. On the left side, this is called left atrium. On the right side, this is called right atrium. What about right atrium? You see, right atrium contains two big veins. This is called superior vena cava, urdhva mohasira, and this is called inferior vena cava, nimno mohasira. It means this urdhva mohasira, superior vena cava, will drain all blood from upper part of the body, from heart to upper part. All will come through the superior vena cava into right atrium. And all blood from below the heart up to foot, all will come back through this inferior vena cava into the right atrium. You see, this is the right atrium. These are carbon dioxide blood. Now what about left atrium? Left atrium, you see here two vessels are superior vena cava, inferior vena cava. But here two pairs of artery comes back. These are called pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery. This is upper pulmonary artery, this is lower pulmonary. Two pulmonary artery from left side and two pulmonary artery from right side. These four will bring the oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left atrium. And bring oxygen, why? Because they are bringing blood from lungs itself after oxygenation. So this will be oxygenated blood. We don't say pure blood is pure blood. This is oxygenated blood. It comes to the left atrium. So then how the circulation goes on? You see, we start from here. When the blood from four pulmonary arteries brings oxygenated blood to the left atrium, it goes from left atrium to the left ventricle. See, there are some doors which allows blood to come from above down only, not from down to up. So these are called cusp or valve. This is mitral valve. So blood comes from left atrium to left ventricle. Now when left ventricle contracts, all its oxygenated blood will pass through this aorta. You see this aorta, it is here behind. You don't see, but you can see here. So from left ventricle, this is left ventricle. This is aorta. This aorta coming out and taking all the oxygenated blood to the body. How? As we said here. All the oxygenated blood, both above and both below, throughout all the body. Okay. Now, from all the body, it will go to the all tissues and cells. There will be exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. The cell will take oxygen and it will give up its carbon dioxide. So all this venous blood will contain carbon dioxide. And this carbon dioxide blood will come back through veins towards heart. And veins will unite with one another and making a bigger vein. Then this vein again another bigger vein. And ultimately they will unite into inferior vena cava from the lower side of the body and superior vena cava from the upper side of the body. And they will bring this carbon dioxide, carbogenated blood to the right atrium. What will do this right atrium? This will contract and send this carbon dioxide blood to the right atrium, right ventricle. This is right ventricle. This right ventricle, when it will contract, this will send all its blood to this trunk. This is called pulmonary trunk. Pulmonary trunk. You see, it is coming from the right ventricle. This pulmonary trunk divides into two branches. One is called left pulmonary artery. This is called right pulmonary artery. So from heart, one pulmonary artery goes to lungs, but from lungs, two pulmonary veins come back to the heart. So this deoxygenated blood or convalescent mixed blood will go to the lungs, and in the lungs, in the alveoli, there will be exchange. This carbon dioxide will go to the alveoli and bronchus and come out to the trachea and to the nose as expiration. And this blood will take the oxygen from the alveoli into it. So this blood, this pulmonary vein, this will contain actually oxygenated blood, and they will bring back into the left atrium. And from left atrium again, the cycle will go on. Left atrium to left ventricle, then again aorta, and again this on going on. Now you can see one thing. Some say that What is the definition of vein and artery? One will say artery is the one which carries oxygenated blood, pure blood, and vein is the one which carries deoxygenated or impure blood, also like this. But this is not always true. Here it is pulmonary artery, but it is carrying in this carbon dioxide loaded blood. This one. Again, this is pulmonary vein. It is carrying oxygenated blood. So this is the exception. So let us go, and you can see these are the valves. These are called valves of the heart. There are four valves. This is called mitral valve on the left side. This is called tricuspid valve on the right ventricle, and this is called, you see, pulmonary valve just before pulmonary artery, and this is called aortic valve just at the root of the aorta. So this valve help to send the blood one way. It will go one way and cannot come back. So this is a normal thing. But we find when there is, say, mitral valvular disease, say rheumatic valvular disease, the valve becomes defective. They cannot control, they cannot close the chamber totally. So you find some blood from here, it will come also from here to here. From here also to here, and there will be some mixing. And ultimately, there will be there will be more pressure on the heart will go on hypertrophy, and then failure of the heart. So this is, in short, this is circulation of our blood. Now one thing remains, though I discussed it in cardiac diseases. I already discussed this coronary artery, but just I mentioned here. You see, heart is sending, circulating its oxygenated blood throughout the body. Why? Because every tissue, every cell needs blood for two things, for its nutrition, and it also needs oxygen. And the idea is it will, there is a factory of making ATP, heat source in the cell. The cell will generate heat through dynamic work in the cell. So this blood contains the end particles of our food, like from carbohydrate, it takes glucose, from fat it takes fatty acid, from protein it takes amino acid, and also goes water, various minerals, and oxygen. All these go to the tissue and cell, and they generate heat inside the cell. And this heat is stored in the form of ATP, and it works. The cell will work. Without this ATP, without this heat formation, cell will be dying. Cell cannot work. Now, heart is sending all the blood to all the tissue, but heart itself, he has muscular tissue. See, this is a muscle. Heart has a muscle, cardiac muscle, and this muscle itself needs also blood, all this nutrition and oxygen. How? So it has its own circulation system. There are veins and arteries. There are two arteries you see. This is called left coronary artery. This is called right coronary artery. Both arises from where? From ascending aorta. This is called ascending aorta. This is arch of aorta. So from ascending aorta, at the root of the ascending aorta, these two coronary arteries arise. This is called left. This is right. Two. This right one will supply about 40% of the heart on the right side, 40% of the heart. And the left side, it supplies more than 60% of the heart. And you see the left artery, after some time, it divides into two. This is called LAD, left anterior descending artery, and this is called circumflex artery, CA, circumflex artery. This is circumflex artery, this is left anterior descending artery. Ultimately, these three arteries, right coronary artery, the left anterior descending, and circumflex artery, these are called three vessels. We say three vessels of the heart. And they will take blood from where? From aorta, and take this blood to the heart tissue and cells for its energy. Now, if there is problem in the heart chemistry, there are lipids, more lipids in the blood, cholesterol, triglyceride. Then they will deposit in the coronary arteries, and they will make atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis means it's a big coat made of these fat bodies, this cholesterol and triglyceride, and they will narrow the lumen of the artery. The artery before, say, it was carrying 100% blood. Now it will take only, say, 60% of blood. Maybe it will be narrowed more. Then it will carry only 20% of blood. Then it will be narrowed more, 200%. Then it will carry no blood. If no blood, then this 40% of the heart will die, will be damaged. This is called myocardial infarction. There will be necrosis, and there will be fibrosis afterward. And this part of the heart will not work at all. So if the atherosclerosis is on the left side, and this is called left main, you see, this is left main, and these are the branches. If it occurs in the left main, it means if there is a heart attack, then 60% of the heart, 60%, like 60% of the heart, 60% of the heart will die. It will go necrosis, then fibrosis. So the patient cannot survive. If a patient loses 60% of the heart, it cannot make effective pumping. Its pumping capacity will be low. It cannot supply enough blood to the brain. The patient will be unconscious. He will go to coma and he will die. So let us go a little bit far. So here you can see what is atherosclerosis. I told atherosclerosis. For hypertension, this is the main culprit. This is the main pathogenesis which make you hypertensive. How it occurs, you see? This is a normal vessel, normal vessel. This is no, there is nothing except the muscle wall. There are three coats in the artery. This is called intimal coat, intima. Then this is muscular media, and this is external fibrous coat. Now, what will happen when a person has more cholesterol in his blood? Normal cholesterol, say for example 150, he has 250. Normal triglycerides, say 150, 70. Somebody has 500. So this big amount of cholesterol and triglyceride will deposit in the wall of the vessels. And you see, it is narrowing the lumen of the coronary artery. And if the lumen is going narrowing and narrowing to 100% or even not 100, 90% only, then he will have a heart attack. This guy will have a heart attack. Unless you can make a stenting or by some drugs. There are some drugs which reduce or which hydrolyze this atherosclerosis. So either by injection or by stenting, you will have to open this one. Otherwise, this portion of the heart will suffer and it will die. So we already discussed in our previous lecture on heart disease how how to make stenting. How to make stenting. You see, this is left anterior descending artery. This one. Now it has atherosclerosis. You see, it has narrowed the lumen of the coronary artery, and it is more than 70 to 80% narrowed. Then how they make the stenting? They will send one catheter through the artery here, radial artery, or sometimes from the femoral artery. And this one they will push and push till it comes to the ascending aorta. From ascending aorta, they will push again and again, and this will come to the left coronary artery, this stent, this this tube, and this will come. Say here there is the block. It will come here. Now this stent, what is there? You see, there is a balloon. You see, this is a balloon, and around the balloon there is a ring of metal. This is a this is a net-like metallic metallic ring, net-like metallic ring. So it is deflected when they send it through this. So once they will pass through this stenotic part of the coronary artery, then they will inflate the balloon. They will push here and they will inflate the balloon. Can you see? Balloon is balloon is dilating the narrowed coronary artery. Now, if there is no ring, only balloon, what will happen? When you deflect the balloon and bring it back, so you find after some time, this one will again come to its maybe not original position, but almost original position, and there will be again problem in the person. So they put this iron wire so that you see, even they remove the balloon, this iron ring will remain there, and this will keep the artery inflated, keep the artery dilated, and there will be blood going through this one, and there will be no problem in the heart, and the heart will survive. Now let us come to the hypertension again. We say chronic hypertension is a chronic medical condition. You can take it as a definition. Hypertension may be defined as a chronic medical condition in which blood pressure is elevated. You can add blood pressure elevated more than optimal level or normal level. And blood pressure may be systemic hypertension, it may be essential hypertension, it may be secondary hypertension. Now, what is systemic, what is essential, and what is secondary? Essential hypertension is that where you don't find any cause for this elevated blood pressure in the person. You make many investigations and you don't find anything that why blood pressure has elevated. So this is called causeless, idiopathic, or primary or essential hypertension. This is the hypertension most of our people suffer. This is essential hypertension or primary hypertension or idiopathic hypertension. As I said, in hypertension usually both systolic and diastolic pressure elevate. But sometimes I showed you before that only systemic blood pressure will be high. Say one person has 200 systolic blood pressure, but diastolic 80. So what will say? Yes, he has hypertension. It is systemic hypertension, and it can damage his organ. It can cause brain stroke. It can cause dilatation of the heart and all this. So even diastolic pressure is normal and systolic is very high, you will have to take care, and you will have to regard you as a patient of hypertension. Now there are secondary hypertension. What is this? Here I told you essential hypertension has no cause, at least no apparent cause, no apparent cause. Though in homeopathy we will say there is cause, we'll see afterwards. But they say, conventional doctor, there is no cause. We don't find any cause. So this is essential hypertension or idiopathic hypertension. Now what is secondary hypertension? Secondary hypertension has a cause. The blood pressure elevates due to problem in other organs. Due to problem in other organs. That's why it is called secondary hypertension. And for treating this secondary hypertension, you need not give attention to hypertension itself only. You have to give attention to the secondary cause which caused this hypertension. Unless you treat that one and relieve the problem in that organ, your hypertension will not be all right. It will not be relieved. So this is secondary hypertension. Now we find, because what I feel this is very important subject, and all of us, our brother homeopaths, we should know as clearly as possible. Because as I said in diabetes, that you must know about diabetes. Because you find many patients will come to you with diabetes. Not for treatment of diabetes. He has come for other things, but he has diabetes. So you have to know if you want to deal with his case. Same for hypertension. You have to know it very, very well. I am little, I'm sorry that I uttered a little harsh word for some disturbance before. I'm sorry for that. Actually, I should not have uttered such a harsh word. Okay, please excuse me if anybody hurt by my harsh word. Thank you. So let us come to etiology. Etiology means current tattva, cause. What are the causes? So what they say, in more than 90% of cases, a in more than 90%, 5% of cases, a specific underlying cause of hypertension cannot be found, as I say, because this is essential hypertension. You don't find any specific cause. That's why it is called essential hypertension, as I said before. But there are some factors. There is no cause, but there are some risk factors. They are responsible to contribute to the causation of essential hypertension. So let us see what are the genetic factors. The pathogenesis of essential hypertension is not clearly understood, as I say. But as homeopath, we will not say that it is not clearly understood. At least to some extent, we understand. And even say, and even get the light to understand the etiology of hypertension. We'll discuss afterwards. But some etiological factors, I say, there are no causative factors, but some etiological factors, some contributing factors are there. What? The first, it is said, genetic factors. So, if a person has both mother and father hypertensive, maybe one or two of his brothers also hypertensive. So it means the gene he is inheriting from his mother and father has hypertension in its chromosome that he will develop hypertension. So this guy has more chance of developing hypertension than one whose father has or mother has no hypertension. So like my father and mother both had hypertension. My father died of stroke in his 74th year, and my mother died in 87 years with this hypertension. So my brother also has hypertension, my sister. So I have a risk factor to develop hypertension. You see, this is called genetic factors because my brother, father, my mother, my brother, and sister had hypertension. So I must take care so that because I told you in diabetes that to produce a disease, it needs two factors. One is called predisposing factor, another is disposing factor. Predisposing factor is genetic factor. That you are born with a miasmatic load, we say. While I was born in 1956, so I was born with a miasmatic load from my mother and my father. This is psychosis. So this load makes me sensitive to develop hypertension in later age. Now it means this I say predisposing factor and disposition. Predisposition and disposition. Then in my later life, if I become very obese, I don't do any physical work, I take lot of salt, I take lot of fat food, You see, and I sleep more. So this will dispose me to have hypertension. The disposition came through a genetic factor from my father and mother, and disposition I am the one responsible. I am giving this environmental factor to be acted by genetic factor, and these two, predisposition factor and disposition factor, will combine to make me hypertension, to develop hypertension. This is genetic factor. Now, there are some fetal factors as well. Fetal factors. So, fetal factor means what? So we know the normal birth weight of human being, normal birth weight, it is 3 to 4 kg. 3 to 4 kg. Sometimes a child is born only by 1 kg, 500 grams. You see. Some are born with 5 kg. So why? Say if a child is born early, not completing the full term pregnancy, he is born say in 28 weeks, 32 weeks. So he will not gain birth weight. He will have only little weight. And if a mother has diabetes mellitus, she will give birth to a child having 5 to 6 kg. So these fetal factors contribute subsequent higher blood pressure. They say if the birth weight less and less, chance of hypertension in later life is more and more. So, so one of my daughter, I will not say which one, she was born only 1,200 grams, and my wife, she was very worried. I told her, anyway, take care if she survives. And Alhamdulillah, she survived, and she has become a good doctor now, and she has no hypertension. Why? Because you see, your this predisposing factor and disposition factor. If you know that your family is hypertensive, so you may have this factor to get hypertension in the later age. So you must take care. So unless predisposition and disposition combine together, you will not be diseased. Same like cancer. Say you are born with a miasmatic load of lung cancer from your mother and father, but you may not develop lung cancer in your life. Why? Because it needs environmental factors to act. This disposing factor. So when you take too much cigarette, you work in a factory, there are too much dust and dirt, you see. So this will make your lungs vulnerable to develop cancer. So this predisposition, disposition together will make you a patient of lung cancer. So this is same in hypertension case. Now there are environmental factors as well. You see, these are not cause, not biological factors. These are called risk factors. Risk factors. What is environmental factors? Say obesity. Obesity, maybe some of you know what is BMI, body mass index. Your weight in kg divided by height in meter square. This gives you BMI. Its normal is up to 24. If you are within 24, you are not obese. You have a good body. If this 25 to 30 make you obese, but this is still normal. But when you cross 30, then you become obese mild, obese moderate, and obese severe. If it is more than 40, you have severe obesity. Then you will develop so many things. So, if a guy is born with predisposing factors, genetic factors, he must take care so that he does not become obese. He should take care of his food and exercise. So obesity will have higher BP than thin people. Those who are thin, they should have less, not easily. But you may also find some people they are thin, but they have higher blood pressure also. Then alcohol intake. Alhamdulillah, we don't take alcohol. This alcohol consumption will also make you vulnerable to elevated blood pressure. Alcohol intake. Then comes sodium intake. This one I do. That when you are vulnerable, your sodium intake, salt intake should be minimum. Otherwise, this will add to the chance of your becoming hypertension. You should not take salt or take very little only. So if a guy takes sodium intake higher and higher, too much salt in everything, and he has parents hypertensive, then he has more chance of developing hypertension in after middle age or maybe early age even. Then stress factor. So like us, we homeopathic doctors and other doctors also, we are always in stress. Stress of education, stress of our family, stress of income, stress of so many things, political, social. And if you have under, if you are under much stress, this will raise your blood pressure. So it is called that you should do some meditation. I learned meditation from three sources, and I encourage you to learn it. This will help you too much to reduce your stress. So there is Silva meditation. In Bangladesh, there is school, Silva meditation. You can learn it. There is quantum meditation. You can learn it. And in China, I learned, this is the best of all, this is called Qigong meditation. I know all these three. And you can relieve your stress very nicely, very swiftly, if you know meditation. You cannot sleep. Yes, you can sleep by meditation. You have one thing coming in your mind, and that is persistent thought, like obsessive compulsive disorder. You cannot take out this question from your mind. It is disturbing you, disturbing you, disturbing you. No meditation. Just I'm telling you, maybe you some may like, some may not like, but if you know meditation, it will help you to reduce your stress and to increase your determination, so many things. So stress also one factor of hypertension. So these are all associated with essential hypertension. Now let us come to secondary hypertension. As I told you, that the secondary hypertension is hypertension due to cause in another organ. Secondary hypertension is where blood pressure is the result of some specific and potentially treatable causes. So if you can treat this secondary cause, you find that his blood pressure become normal. Now what are the causes? But also these are also very tough. It is difficult to treat also. Why? So number one, renal diseases. If you have chronic kidney disease, your creatinine is say 3.5, so you will find that you are having blood pressure. And this is secondary hypertension, secondary from renal disease. So if you can treat your renal disease like you see chronic glomerulonephritis, diabetic nephropathy, polycystic kidney disease, and renal vascular disease means there will be constriction of renal artery. So these causes will make you a patient of CKD, chronic kidney disease, and you will have blood pressure, high blood pressure, and it is difficult for you to reduce your blood pressure to normal level. Now, I have a patient just today also he came, polycystic kidney disease. This guy, because this is a congenital anomaly. He was born with this disease. Polycystic kidney does not develop afterwards. You are born with polycystic kidney disease. Only the cyst will become bigger and bigger as you live further. And polycystic kidney disease means both kidney has many cysts like moumassy sac, moumassy sac. So it will be like this, cyst all over the kidney, and it will destroy the kidney tissues, and it will make you a patient of CKD and high your creatinine and low GFR, glomerular filtration rate, and you will have hypertension. And unless he is by treated by good way, good methods, he will die, because one cannot survive with chronic kidney disease stage 4 or 5 without treatment. He cannot survive. So renal disease is a issue. It is account more than 80% cases of secondary renal. So take care. If you have CKD, you have so many problems. So take care so that you don't develop CKD. Now we come to endocrine disease. So you see, what can you do? This is called pheochromocytoma. This is a tumor. Pheochromocytoma in the adrenal gland, in the adrenal medulla. This is called pheochromocytoma, and it secretes adrenaline, noradrenaline too much, leading to high blood pressure. So unless you treat this pheochromocytoma, you cannot reduce your blood pressure. Then there is Cushing syndrome. This is in adrenal cortex, adrenal gland in the cortex. It secretes more cortisol hormone, and cortisol will elevate your blood pressure. Unless you treat Cushing syndrome, you cannot reduce your blood pressure. Then primary hyperaldosteronism. Aldosterone also is from adrenal gland. It will secrete more and more aldosterone, and it will retain more and more salts and elevated blood pressure. Then acromegaly. It is due to tumor producing more growth hormone. You'll find a guy, he has high growth hormone, and he will have big mouth. His chin will be very big. His hands, his fingers will be very big, like a monster. So this acromegaly, this growth hormone also elevates the blood pressure. And unless you can treat this acromegaly, his blood pressure will remain high. Then thyrotoxicosis, you know, hyperthyroidism. This thyroid gland becomes hyperthyroid, thyrotoxicosis. So also this will raise your blood pressure. And unless you treat and control this thyrotoxicosis, your blood pressure will never come down. Then adrenal hyperplasia also. This adrenal gland, if there is hyperplasia, it will secrete more hormones and blood pressure will be elevated. So these are all endocrine diseases. So these are secondary causes of. Now come to cardiovascular diseases causes. Now a major cause is coarctation of aorta. Coarctation of, what is this? Let us see a little bit here. Uh, ah, this is called coarctation of aorta. If you see this aorta, this is open. From here up to here, this is open. But sometimes you find in some part of the aorta there is a constriction. It's like stricture with a trap. This is stricture in the aorta. So due to stricture, you see there will be back pressure on the heart. Heart is trying to pump out the blood, and blood cannot go pass through this stricture aorta. So there will be back pressure on the heart. Heart will be hypertrophied, and it will raise the blood pressure. So unless you treat this coarctation of aorta, this is surgical cause. You I don't think that we can treat it by homeopathic medicine. This is the surgical cause. You'll have to go to vascular surgeon, and they will release this coarctation, this contraction, and your blood pressure will be all right. It's called coarctation of aorta. Then there are drugs. Alhamdulillah, we don't have drug abuse to cause blood pressure, but there are some unscrupulous homeopaths, of course. They are for their bad work. Sometimes we are blamed. You see, what are the drugs? One is oral contraceptive containing estrogen. Estrogen is a drug which elevates blood pressure. So if a woman takes oral contraceptive with estrogen, she may have high blood pressure. And corticosteroid, the allopathic doctors they use it much, but of course they say they use it very consciously and very ethically. In some cases, they use in rheumatoid arthritis. It is not responding to any other drugs. They will give corticosteroid and there will be medical relief of the pain. You have bronchial asthma, severe bronchial asthma. You cannot reduce it by even many spray or this or that. Then they give short courses of corticosteroid to relieve asthma. Then there are, say, psoriasis, severe psoriasis in the body, and they cannot control by any ointment or anything. Then they give corticosteroid. So when they give corticosteroid, this is halal. But of course, I don't say. I said that homeopath, why you? We have no corticosteroid drug. If there is something, this is highly potentized. But crude corticosteroid is not a homeopathic drug. But some unscrupulous, some bad guys in homeopathy, they use this corticosteroid in the form of powder and give the patient and they say, oh, the result will be within 72 hours. Your, your arthritic pain will go within 70. If not, I will repay the money. Your uh, bronchial asthma will be relieved within 48 hours. If not, I will repay them. So, you, this, this advertiser homeopath, or if somebody makes such advertise, you should know that he may have this corticosteroid using in this method. Most probably, he can give so advertise and so boasting that he can finish all bronchial asthma, all say rheumatoid arthritis, all psoriasis by 72 hours. No, he should be caught by the mobile court, and they should be put in under law enforcement agency. So this corticosteroid, if somebody gives a person off and on, he will develop blood pressure. With anabolic steroid also, this durabolin, decadurabolin, some people they give the injection for baby who is not growing well. That this is stunted growth. So the baby is not taking food. He has less appetite, and he is 10 years old but looks like 5 years old. So they give anabolic steroid. These are given by our allopathic colleagues, not us. But if they give anabolic steroid more, of course, this will give rise hypertension. Then NSAIDs, non-steroid anti-inflammatory drugs like brufen, ibuprofen, naproxen. These are not steroid but anti-inflammatory drugs. They give it for rheumatoid arthritis, severe pain in the case of rheumatoid arthritis. They give this naproxen and this and that, and they give complication to your stomach. You will have peptic ulcer, and also if you take more, this will damage your kidney and make you a patient of CKD. And also this will raise your blood pressure. You see, so these are halal for our allopathic colleague, but quite 100% haram for us. Don't think any of my brother to use such thing. But if you do totopathy, say one person came to you with with many steroid use of his rheumatoid arthritis for a long time, and he has now pushing symptom like APLS, or he has taken NSAIDs for a long time, and he has come with some complication. In that case, there is in homeopathy, you can potentize this medicine. You can potentize, and you give potentized medicine to antidote the chronic effect of NSAIDs. But also, you see, there is controversy. There are ways they said no. Why this totopathy? Well, you can take the symptomatology of the patient, and the symptom will lead you to the correct medicine, which will treat his disease condition as well as remove the effects of this allopathic chronic use. So, but as I said, one holder can use as a protopathic medicine only and in potential form. Other is no. Then you see pregnancy. In pregnancy, there are many placental hormones secret from the placenta, and they can make the mother, pregnant mother, having higher blood pressure and developing eclampsia, certain eclampsia. So these are the sorry, these are the secondary hypertension and its causes of secondary hypertension. As I said. Now, how to measure blood pressure? We all know. I hope we all know. But I found this is my experience because uh, I am practicing homeopathy since 1981, and I have many assistants throughout these 41 years. Many assistants, and some are very good, and they are doing very well now. But some are not very good also. So I find that many of them do not know how to measure blood pressure. Sometimes they don't know, and sometimes they measure the blood pressure but in the wrong way. So a doctor must know how to measure blood pressure in correct way. Because sometimes the blood pressure measurement it becomes vital in assessing the condition of the patient. If a patient you find is in shock, is in shock, neurogenic shock, vascular shock, or something like shock. Now, whether he is improving or not, one of the criteria is to measure his blood pressure. If his blood pressure is raised, elevated. So if you don't know how to measure the blood pressure very correctly, then you cannot evaluate this person. So just I believe many of our brothers here know, but I give some hint from my side. What you do? You see, there are two types of blood pressure. These are usual. There are others also. Nowadays you have watch and it will make your blood pressure. So, but these are the common ones. This is called sphygmomanometer. You see, this is with mercury column. Sphygmomanometer, BP instrument with mercury column. This is BP instrument with a tonometer. This is called tonometer. This has no mercury. Just you press and this meter will change position and give you the blood pressure. So if this is the better one, what we do in our clinic as a permanent setup, we keep one like this. And this one we keep sometimes if we go outside to see a patient. Okay, don't take so heavy and bigger one. We take this one. But it is better in your chamber. When you start a chamber, you can buy one sphygmomanometer with mercury column. So you can see the mercury column. This is graduated from 0, 10, 20, 50, like this up to 280. Okay, and there is a mercury container here. It is a container, and this is the pump. This is the stopcock. This is the stopcock. This is pump. Okay, and these are connecting tube. These are connecting tube. So here, and this is the this is the cuff to bind on your arm. So when you okay, so when you bind this cuff on the arm and push the pump here, this will take air and push this air into the mercury container, and this mercury will go up and up, up and up, up and up, up and up like this. And when you open this stopcock, then the air will come out, and the air which pushes the mercury. So there's the air is going out, the mercury column will be coming down. So the common thing is that you mind this curve in the hand of the person. Okay, but this curve should be at least, it should cover at least two-thirds of the arm. It should not be very small, very narrow. Two-thirds of the arm. Okay, and your arm should be in the level of your heart. You should keep in the level of your heart. Then you push this here and push this mercury column up and up, up and up. Some people will say, okay, take it up to 200. Go 200. And you put your stethoscope, this one here, and this one in your ear. This one where, this one you put on the hand here to, to be on the uh, brachial artery. Okay? Brachial artery. So up to 200, you don't find any sound. So when you lower the mercury level little by little, you just expand the air little little. So it needs some training, because if you are not well trained, then you will suddenly push out all the air. So it should be little little. So you find in a point there will be sound. You find the 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 pulse sound. So the point where you, you listen the first sound, this is systolic. This is systolic. Then you keep it coming down, 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 and you are getting the sound. Dub, 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 dub. Then at a point you find no, there is no sound. There is no more sound. Some say there are many types of sound. Don't go for this sound. Just you take where you take the point where there is no more sound. So this is the history. This is very simple. You raise the blood pressure up to 200, then make it down, down, down. Where the first sound comes, this is systolic. Then you keep it more reducing and reducing, and at a point you find there is no more sound. This is diabetes. This is simple. But the more careful physicians, cardiologists, and other careful, what they do when they are raising the mercury column, they will also try to hear, because when it is in that 20, 30, there will be no sound. But when he is raising it, at a point he will find a sound. It will, the point will start. So this is diastolic. Then he will raise it more and more, more and more. And at a point, he will find there is no more sound. So this is systolic. So when he elevates the column, he is measuring. Again, when he is depressing it from above downward, again he is finding the systolic blood pressure and diastolic blood pressure. So he is double checking the pressure. So this is the good way if you can do. Anyway, you can use anyway only that you can measure the blood pressure very correct. Okay, this is, stethoscope. These are called earpiece. Earpiece. This is earpiece. Okay, this is chest piece. Chest piece. This side is called diaphragm. Diaphragm. And the other opposite side is called bell. B-E-double-L, bell. So, so I show you. If you can see it, I don't know if you see or not. So even you see, when you put this earpiece in your ear, there is also a little technique. And I find that some of our colleagues do not know. So the way he put it on his ear, you know that he's just what I say. He's not a doctor. He never knows how to put his stethoscope in his ear. So you'll have to put the earpiece, you see, your ear direction. The auditory canal direction is like anteriorly and medially. So it should be in that way. So it will fit. But if you put like this will not go near your drum. This will be stuck on the halfway and you will not hear anything. So even this simple thing, I hope most of our majority here they know, but I know also that some. but maybe some student he never tried it, he may not know. So I tell you, even to put the earpiece in ear, you have to learn the correct technique. Then this is the chest piece, and this is diaphragm. This is bell. So you know what to listen from bell. We use bell to listen very soft sound, very soft sound. What? Like diastolic murmur. If you find in the chest there is systolic murmur, there is a sound, harsh sound during systole. This is very harsh. You can find it easily. But when there is diastole, there is a murmur. It is very soft diastole. So we use this bell. Also, when we measure or when we watch the fetal heart sound, we use this bell, fetal heart sound. Or also when we used to listen to some bruit, like renal bruit, uterine shuffle, this small sound, we use this bell. For all other, we use this diaphragm. For all other. Now where to put it? Maybe we can take another class on clinical examination later on. So I'm just stopping here. We are going, and I hope I'll finish it within 5 minutes. Just see what can I do. Yeah. Up to here I'll finish. So when you how to measure the blood pressure, just there is a direction for you. Use a machine which is very well maintained and calibrated. You use a machine you used maybe 10 years before. So now it is not working. So before use, you see that it is working, it is calibrated. Then only. Then when you measure the blood pressure routinely, suppose usually we keep the patient sitting and his arm resting on the table at the level of the heart. Okay, and take the blood pressure. But for some patient having, say for example, diabetic patient, an elderly patient, aged like more than 75 years, 78 years, they have postural hypertension. Postural hypertension due to posture. When this guy will stand up, his blood pressure will fall. This is called postural hypertension. For such patients, we measure the blood pressure both in sitting and in standing. Okay. Now, also I tell you, instead of measuring blood pressure in a single point, it is better before taking a patient that you are hypertensive, you measure the blood pressure at least 3 times. At least 3 times in different times of the day, or maybe 3 days. And if you find that all these 3 times his blood pressure is high, okay, confidently you can take him that he is hypertensive. I gave you the list before what is hypertension, what is not. So if you find even after measuring 3 times the blood pressure is more, then you can take it, but not by a single measurement. If the patient came and you measure, oh, you have 180 and say 100. No, you cannot take it. Maybe his blood pressure will be coming down after say half an hour. This 180 will come back to 140, and this 100 will come below 90. So this is the thing. At least you will have to measure 3 times, and when you lower the level of mercury, you lower it very slowly. This is called that 2 millimeter per second, or little, so that you can identify as soon as there is sound. But if you lower it very rapidly, you cannot identify the exact point. Maybe this will be 5 less or 5 more. So you will have to lower it very slowly. So there is a technique. You have to practice it and learn. Now this one, then I finish. White coat hypertension. What is this? White coat hypertension. Okay. White coat means apron. You know, we use apron. It everywhere the allopathic doctors they use the apron, but our homeopathic doctors I think it is better for us we should wear apron also while we are working, maybe in the clinic or maybe in the hospital. In the hospital, of course, but it is better also in your clinic and all your system. And it gives gives an environment, and the people becomes convinced that what I say, the medical environment and management like this. So when we take the blood pressure of a person as a doctor, say he came to me, okay, you come, sit down here. I take the blood pressure. Some patient becomes afraid. He thinks, oh, maybe my blood pressure will be more. When a doctor is measuring, he is not coming his mind. He's a little bit agitated. And you find his blood pressure is more. But if the same guy, he goes back home, and some other person in his family measure his blood pressure, he will find it is normal. So the hypertension, which is evident while a doctor measures the blood pressure of a patient wearing his apron in medical uniform, so this is called white coat hypertension. So you must take care. As a doctor, when you measure the blood pressure of a village guy, he becomes little bit nervous, and he will be under little bit tension and stress, and his blood pressure will be elevated. So this is called white coat hypertension. That's why it is better to measure the blood pressure maybe by your assistant, by you, at least 3 times before you take him as a patient of hypertension. We keep it here. Next day, uh, this lecture may be very big, but I did not make it big. I keep it as understandable as possible for you, so that all our brother here, both DHMS, BHMS, and maybe student, they can understand. But if some of you may not understand some point, you just keep it and you can ask me when I finish, and inshallah, I will answer to your question. So I will end it here. Hope the next week all of you will be present and we will finish the lecture next day. So you know this hypertension is very important for you as a doctor. You must know about hypertension. And we are coming to many, you see, so many things are here. Complication, target organ damage. There are very, very important things are there. So hope next day we'll discuss this thing and all will be present and know it and you utilize this knowledge in your patient. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Wa tawfiq illa billah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. I'm now transferring the microphone to Mr. Dr. Anwar Patwari to take some questions. If there are some one, I want to ask questions. You can ask the question in English or in Bengali. You are just don't hesitate to ask a question in Bengali. It is up to you, no problem. Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Sheikh Farooq Ilahi sir. উপস্থিত আমাদের আজকের গুগল মিটে যুক্ত হোমিওপ্যাথ ভাই বোনেরা, আমরা এখন প্রশ্ন উত্তর সেশনে চলে যাব। যারা প্রশ্ন করতে চান তারা হ্যান্ড রাইজ করলে আমরা একে একে আপনাদের নামগুলো ঘোষণা করব। আর হচ্ছে স্যার বলেই দিয়েছেন অলরেডি যে আপনারা যারা ইংলিশে করবেন মোস্ট ওয়েলকাম, ইংলিশে করতে পারেন। আর যদি ইংলিশে কোশ্চেন না করতে চান বাংলায় করেন, সেটাকেও স্যার ইংলিশ আনসার করবেন।
আমাকে আধা মিনিট সময় দেন একটু।
যারা প্রশ্ন করবেন তারা হ্যান্ড রেজ করলে আমরা একে একে আপনাদেরকে নামগুলো ঘোষণা করব। আমাদের বরিশাল থেকে ডক্টর AZ মুসা ভাই হ্যান্ড রেজ করেছেন। মুসা ভাই প্রথম প্রশ্নটা করবেন, তারপর প্রস্তুত থাকবেন আমাদের ডাক্তার সবুজ মিয়া ভাই। স্যার শুনতে পাচ্ছেন?
জি, yes.
জি। আমাদের এজিরা মুসা ভাই, আপনি শুনতে পাচ্ছেন নিশ্চয়? মাইকটা আনমিউট করে প্রশ্নটা করবেন। মুসা ভাই শুনতে পাচ্ছেন? আচ্ছা, যদি কারো প্রশ্ন করতে অসুবিধা হয় অথবা আনমিউট করতে না পারেন, অসুবিধা হয়, তাহলে আপনি একটু লিভ করে আবার জয়েন করবেন, তাহলে আশা করি সমস্যাটার সমাধান হয়ে যাবে। অনেকক্ষণ ধরে মাইকটা মিউট থাকলে অনেক সময় আনমিউট হতে চায় না বা স্ক্রিন হ্যাং হয়ে যায়, সেই কারণে একটা ঝামেলা হতে পারে। জি, মিস্টার সবুজ মিয়া শুনতে পাচ্ছেন? আপনার মাইকটা আনমিউট করে প্রশ্নটা করবেন।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম ওয়া রাহমাতুল্লাহি ওয়া
ওয়ালাইকুম
বারাকাতুহু।
সালাম। সবুজ ভাই আমাদের সরকারি মেডিকেল কলেজের খুব ব্রিলিয়েন্ট একজন ছাত্র। উনি মেডিকেল অফিসার হিসাবে সম্ভবত মোট বেরিয়ে আছেন এবং খুব খুব ভালো। উনি অনেক প্রোগ্রাম
Yes,
করেন,
জি স্যার।
করে। থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ। বলেন বলেন।
Thank you so much, sir, for taking such a nice class on high blood pressure. I got to know a lot of unknown information through the today's class, and I think other participants also got to know a lot of unknown information. I have a question. Is there any difference between right arm pressure measurement and left arm pressure measurement? Is there any difference?
This is the question of it. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Sometimes, uh, our usually the difference is very little. But sometimes it happens that when you measure blood pressure on right side and left side, there is little difference. But if you find substantial difference, it may happen due to, even if you make blood pressure on your hand and my blood pressure on your leg, you may find there is difference, and that is due to coarctation of the organ. And sometimes there is some anomaly in the muscular system of our body. That's why left side and right side you find the blood pressure is little bit different. If you find, people say, if you find more in one hand, it is better to take the more one for safe finding. But some say you can just make an average and take the blood pressure as such. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ। আমাদের মুসা ভাই শুনতে পাচ্ছেন? নাহলে ডক্টর পঙ্কজ দেবনাথ আপনার প্রশ্নটি করবেন।
আচ্ছা,
মুসা ভাই শুনতে পাচ্ছেন?
শুনতে পাচ্ছি।
জি, আপনি প্রশ্ন করবেন, হ্যান্ড রাইজ করা আছে।
জি জি।
জি, প্রশ্ন।
আসসালামু
Walaikum salam.
sir. So many thanks for nice presentation, sir. Sir, digital blood pressure machine is available now. Are they reliable?
Okay, this is a question. Yes, I understand. Yeah. If for digital blood pressure machine, you will have to calibrate the machine on and off. You use, because there is battery, there is battery life, and there are other things which jeopardize the level of blood pressure measured by digital machine. That's why if you measure the blood pressure with digital machine, it should be well calibrated. Number one. But what I say, okay, for shortcut measuring, you can use digital blood pressure machine. If you find it is normal, it's okay. But if there is some blood pressure that you want to measure it correctly to determine something, then it is better to measure it by this cuff or mercury, because this one you can make it by your hand. There is no battery, there is nothing, so you are confident at the level of blood pressure you measure. But if it is a digital one, yes, digital one is okay, but to make sure that it is battery and other calibration are okay. That is all right. Okay,
Thank you,
thank
sir.
you.
থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ। ডক্টর পঙ্কজ কান্তি দেবনাথ, আপনার প্রশ্নটি করবেন। ডক্টর পঙ্কজ কান্তি দেবনাথ, আপনি কি শুনতে পাচ্ছেন? আর কারো কোনো প্রশ্ন থাকলে হ্যান্ড রাইজ করলে আমাদের নাম ঘোষণা করতে সুবিধা হবে। আর যদি জি, ডক্টর রুহুল আমিন হ্যান্ড রাইজ করেছেন, আপনার প্রশ্নটি করুন।
Thanks a lot for giving me chance for ask question. First of all, I would like to show my heartiest gratitude to my beloved teacher, Dr. Farooq Eliza, who is continuing such advanced class combination with practice of medicine, materia medica, and laboratory, which help us regular practice to select perfect remedy and prognosis of disease. Sir, my question is, normally in hypertension, both systolic and diastolic increase, and systolic more than 130 and diastolic more than 90. And in hypotension, both systolic and diastolic lower, less than 120 and less than 80. If I found someone systolic becomes lower, means 110, and diastolics increase more than 90, even 100, what type of pressure we treated and what the risk factors of this situation? Thank you, sir.
See, it's a good question. We say there is a pulse pressure. Pulse pressure is difference of systolic and diastolic. But as you said, we don't say hypotension by less than 120. It is up to 90, it is normal, systolic. And up to 60, it is normal, low normal in diastolic. So if you find a patient has 100 systolic and diastolic 60, it's normal. You find many patients, they have low blood pressure since their birth. You don't find them blood pressure more than 140 or something like this. They have always less level of, reduced level of blood pressure. That's why up to 90, if a person having 90 and actually 60, this is the lowest normal. So we don't take any treatment measure for such. Only thing, if we know from the patient that your blood pressure remains little bit low since a long time, the patient will say yes, my blood pressure is always, I have hypertension. But if it is less than this, if the systolic is say 80, and diastolic you don't find. Sometimes you find diastolic unmeasurable. Only find little systolic, yes, this patient is going to shock. But if usually you find it less, that once diastolic is say 100 and systolic only say 70 or 80, you find it is very rare, very rare. You don't find it like this. Usually, there is a question of pulse pressure, it is not so much difference, little difference only. If the diastolic blood pressure you find 110, you should expect its systolic blood pressure at least more than 110. It is usual. But the other way, it is unusual. Understand the thing? So you keep the lowest level, systolic 90 and diastolic 60. By less than 110, you don't say this is hypertension. No, no. 110, 195 systolic, it's normal for some person. But yes, if a person had blood pressure before, always 140 systolic, diastolic, say 90 or more, and he becomes systolic, say only 100, and diastolic it is 60 years. You can take care of him that he is going to hypotension, he is going to maybe shock or something like that. But if the patient had less hypertension since beginning, there is no problem. Thank you.
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার, থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ। কারো যদি আর কোনো প্রশ্ন না থাকে আমরা মনে হয় স্যার শেষ করার দিকে যেতে পারি। সর্বশেষ হ্যান্ড রাইজ করে আছেন ডক্টর পঙ্কজ কান্তি দেবনাথ, উনি কি ভুল করে করেছেন কিনা বুঝতে পারছি
ওনার
না।
নাম পীযূষ কান্তি দেবনাথ, পীযূষ কান্তি।
সরি পীযূষ কান্তি দেবনাথ।
স্যার আদাব।
আদা আদা, বলেন বলেন।
স্যার আমার নেটটা আছে খুব খারাপ, আমি বাংলায় প্রশ্নটা করতে চাই স্যার।
হ্যাঁ বলেন বলেন।
স্যার কয়েক বছর আগে আমার কাছে একজন কার্টুনিস্ট্রি তার প্রেসারটা মাপার জন্য আসে।
Yes.
স্যার আমি যখন তার প্রথম তার প্রেসারটা মাপি তখন তার প্রেসারটা প্রায় 290/250 পাওয়ার পর আমি ভয় পেয়ে সাথে সাথে আমার শ্রীমঙ্গল হসপিটালে উপজেলা স্বাস্থ্য কমপ্লেক্সে পাঠাই। সেখানে সে গিয়ে তারা প্রেসার পায়, তখন এখানে একটা কর্তব্যরত যে চিকিৎসক ছিলেন ওনার নাম ডাক্তার বীরেন্দ্র ভৌমিক, উনি পান মাত্র 90/60। তো তারা আমাকে বলে যে তারা ওই রুগীকে বলে যে কোন পাগলে মাপছে। তো আমি তাকে বললাম যে আচ্ছা তুমি মাঝখানে কি করছো? সে বলল ও যে তখন মাত্র 2টা বিড়ি খাইছি। বিড়ি তার প্রেসারটা নাকি স্যার এরকম খুব তাড়াতাড়ি উঠে, আবার 2টা বিড়ি খাইলে তারটা খুব তাড়াতাড়ি নেমে যায়। তো আমি এই ব্যাপারে আমার শ্রীমঙ্গলের যে বিএমডিসি যিনি সভাপতি ডাক্তার হরিপদ রায়, সম্ভবত স্যার আপনার ক্লাসমেট অথবা আপনার খুব ক্লোজ লোক, আমি ওনার সাথে আলাপ করছি আপনার ব্যাপারে, উনি আপনাকে চিনেন এটা বলছেন। ওনার কাছে আলাপ করলাম, ওনার সাথে আমার খুব চমৎকার সম্পর্ক। আমি ওনার কাছে অনেক সময় রুগী পাঠাই। তো উনি বললেন যে মেডিকেল টার্মে অনেক ব্যাপার আছে যেটা চিন্তা করা যায় না। এটা কিভাবে সম্ভব স্যার? আমার এটাই প্রশ্ন।
আচ্ছা, প্রথম কথা হলো যে আপনার এই এই জিনিসটা আগামী ক্লাসে আসবে। আমরা একটাকে বলি ম্যালিগন্যান্ট হাইপারটেনশন, এটা নেক্সট ক্লাসে আসবে। ম্যালিগন্যান্ট হাইপারটেনশন আপনি যেটা পেয়েছিলেন এটা হলো ম্যালিগন্যান্ট হাইপারটেনশনের টাইপ। যে একে করে বললাম 290, আপনি যেটা 150, ওনার তো একদম মানে একুট হার্ট ফেলিয়ার, তার ব্রেন স্ট্রোক, একুট বলে একেআই, একুট কিডনি মানে ডিজিজ হওয়ার একেবারে সমূহ সম্ভাবনা ছিল। এখন এটা এইভাবে কমার কথা না। এখন একটা হইতে পারে তার 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 কি কোনো ধরনের শক টক হয়েছিল না শক টক হয় নাই?
স্যার এটা তো জানি না, এটা তো জানি না স্যার। সে কিন্তু প্রায় এরকম আসে আমার কাছে, মাত্র এরকম পাই, আবার 2টা বিড়ি খাইলে এটা আবার নিচে চলে যায় স্যার, এটা এরকম হয়।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, এটা আচ্ছা, আমি আমার বন্ধুরা আছে, এই যে বললাম আমার সুবিধা হলো আমার বন্ধুরা খুব বড় বড় এলোপ্যাথি ডাক্তার, খুব বড় বড় মানে বাংলাদেশের সেরারা মনে করেন সব আছে, কার্ডিওলজিস্ট আছে, নেফ্রোলজিস্ট সব। আমি দেখি আমার একটা ফ্রেন্ড কার্ডিওলজিস্টকে আমি এই ব্যাপারে জিজ্ঞেস করি যে বিড়ি খাইলে তোমার, আমার জানা নেই এটা, বিড়ি খাইলে তোমার সম্ভাবনা আছে কিনা বা এমন হতে পারে কিনা। আপনাকে নেক্সট ক্লাসে হোপ আমি মনে রাখতে পারবো, আমি জানাবো আপনাকে। Okay,
আচ্ছা
ধন্যবাদ।
স্যার, আমি এই ব্যাপারে হরিপদ স্যারের কাছে আমি আলাপ করছিলাম এটা এই ব্যাপার।
আচ্ছা
উনিও বলছে যে এটা আসলে আনবিলিভেবল, এটা বিশ্বাস করা যায় না, কিন্তু অনেক সময় মেডিকেল টার্মে এটা হতে পারে। ওনার
ঠিক
কাছে
আছে,
আমি অনেক সময় এটা আলাপ করি।
আচ্ছা,
উনিও স্যার
আমরা-
আপনার হবিগঞ্জের লোক।
আমি চিনি, আমার ক্লাসমেট, আমার ক্লাস। তবে আমরা হরিপদের কাছ থেকে না, আমরা একদম কার্ডিওলজিস্টের কাছ থেকে এটার আনসার নেওয়ার চেষ্টা করবো। ওকে, ধন্যবাদ আপনাকে।
আচ্ছা স্যার, হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, আদাব।
ধন্যবাদ স্যার। এটা একটি পিকুলিয়ার বিষয় আর কি, যে সিগারেট খেলে কমে যায়, এবং সেটার মেডিকেল কানেকশনটা কি নিশ্চয়ই আমরা পরবর্তী ক্লাসে জানবো। আর কারো কোনো প্রশ্ন না থাকলে, আমাদের স্যার আজকে অসুস্থতার মধ্যে ক্লাস নিয়েছেন, আমরা স্যারের জন্য আন্তরিকভাবে আল্লাহ দরবারে দোয়া করি আল্লাহ যেন তাকে দীর্ঘায়ু দান করেন এবং পরিপূর্ণ সুস্থতা দান করেন, এবং দীর্ঘদিন হোমিওপ্যাথির স্বার্থে এই উন্মাদনা যেন চালিয়ে যেতে পারেন। স্যার আমাদের ক্লাস শুরু হওয়ার আগেই বলছিলেন যে 3 হোমিও উন্মাদের গল্প তিনি আমাদেরকে শুনিয়েছেন। আমাদের যারা উপস্থিত আছেন অনেকেই এখনো যুক্ত হচ্ছেন, তাদের উদ্দেশ্যে বলবো যে আমরা প্রতি রবি এবং বুধবার রাত 9টায় আমাদের এই ক্লাসটা শুরু হয়। আপনারা নির্দিষ্ট সময়ের আগেই উপস্থিত হতে পারলে ভালো। আমরা ক্লাসটা ট্রান্সমিশন দেওয়ার আগেই কিছু কথাবার্তা হয় যেগুলো হয়তো সরাসরি ক্লাসে থাকে না, বা আমরা তখনও ক্লাসে করি না, ফেসবুকে লাইভ ট্রান্সমিশন করি না। এই জন্য আপনারা আগে ভাগে যুক্ত হলে অনেকগুলো অনানুষ্ঠানিক কথা হয় যেখান থেকেও আমরা উপকার পেতে পারি। তো আজকের মতো কারো প্রশ্ন এখন পর্যন্ত আর নেই। সবার জন্য আল্লাহর দরবারে দোয়া কামনা করে, আমাদের স্যারের জন্য দীর্ঘায়ু কামনা করে এখানে বিদায় নিচ্ছি। আল্লাহ হাফেজ। আসসালামু আলাইকুম ওয়া রাহমাতুল্লাহি ওয়া বারাকাতুহু।